Lady Electronica is a collective of female vocalist producers who write, record and produce their own solo projects.
There's 4 members of Lady Electronica collective and we all have our own live set because we're all solo artists. We all build songs from our computers and we translate them into the live context.
So the computer itself is not actually a very performative piece of equipment. So what some of us have done is developed our own interfaces to perform with.
So for the Rose Carousel live set at Lady Electronica Live, I have the opportunity to design a light-sensitive interface, which I've called the Naturetron. They've each got a single light-dependent resistor, which is picking up basically the level of light in the room. And this is running through an Arduino circuit board to control that and send the signal via wireless back to my laptop. So when my backing singers are opening and closing the lids on these suitcases, the level of signal changes.
I was very interested in the gestural language of vocalists, so I spent a lot of time researching and looking at the natural movements of performers, and I designed the e-mic based on those gestures and the way that the singer actually interacts with the mic stand. So I placed an array of sensors on the actual mic stand so that when the performer performs, I can pick up that as data and feed that into my computer and use it to control musical elements in the performance.
So this is the base of the stand. You can see on the base of the stand there is a pressure pad. I've got a number of buttons and some LED lights. The electronics, the Arduino microcontroller board is housed underneath the stand, and there's a little XY, Z accelerometer. At the top of the stand I've got this little box with a joystick on the top, XY joystick, and some pressure pads, and I can just squeeze those to perform while I'm performing. Some switches and the little infrared proximity sensors.
I was really interested in the idea of using gloves so that I could have a reason for moving other than just it being a pure performance tool, so that every movement had a real reason for happening. So this is the glove I developed for Lady Electronica Live. What I've got is some on-off keys that I use for looping. This one does record, this one is add another layer, this one's play, this one's stop. So it's pretty simple. This little thing here, you can see that light, is an accelerometer. So it measures, it's got an X, Y and Z axis, which means that if I move my hand up and down, that's one thing. If I move my hand left and right, that's another, and back and forth. These are flex sensors, so I've been using a combination of the flex sensors and the accelerometer to map delay triggers. So mainly more at the end of phrases I might do this sort of thing and then the delay goes on more and this is less.
By the time I came to investigate this idea of an interface, for me it became visual. I work as a visual artist, and so it seemed a natural progression to work somehow through costuming and the body, light, video. That was the beginning proposition, and so I started to investigate and design potential costuming components for the show. So this is the skeleton of the costume that I started developing for Lady Electronica. Essentially, it's remote controlled, pre-programmed LED strip lighting, but the capacity exists for you to rewire it. So we're looking at the possibility of armband controllers with on-off switches.
You know, with the project coming to an end, I'm really in a completely different position to where I was. You know, I'm building equipment with a microelectronics engineer. I'm performing on stage, sometimes just with a laptop by myself. And for me, a year ago, that was like the scariest thing on earth.
We all have different strengths and different weaknesses, and just being around each other and watching how each other works, you learn an enormous amount from that.
I've come away now with skills which I really value because I can now design controllers. There's many new options now open to me in a way that I feel like I have control over, and in a way that I feel that I can innovate and create, which I'm really, really thankful for.
Essentially, for me, it began an unfolding process of some great a project that's quite complex and quite exciting and quite demanding technically, but I think it's really intrinsically quite truthful to how I perform.